AAOL Phoenix. We are here for the Amateur Oceanic Esports Australian Overwatch League. And how can you not love it? It's Overwatch. It's great. And we are here for On Point Gaming Purple versus Deadlock. It should be a doozy of a duel, and it's going to be the first map will be Oasis Phoenix. How do you feel about Oasis?
Well, Oasis, we saw it earlier tonight in one of our earlier series in this tournament, and it's one of those maps where you can just overrun a team. You can have some rather interesting compositions, and sometimes you can just like barrel down just with just sheer strength of the players. And looking forward to seeing how this one ends up going. So On Point Gaming is on the blue, and we have Deadlock on the red, and we'll have to see how these two teams end up playing it out, and what kind of compositions we're going to have coming into this.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm very curious to see how it all shakes out and how quickly these teams adapt. One of the things we saw in our first game earlier today was the fact that one team did a great job at adapting, the other team couldn't. And one of the key factors in that was the fact that there was a Pharah that was running uncontested. And we already see that there is a Pharah on the field. There's going to be MD on it. And we'll see if they manage to adapt quickly, because they don't really have much to counter it. I'm curious to see how quickly they can fix that.
Yeah, and looking at the other side, there isn't going to be the Pharah, but they do have a rather aggressive lineup, looking like they want to just go straight into the face of Deadlock. They've got the Tracer and the Genji, and they'll also have their Winston jumping through, so they have a lot of aggressive tools at their disposal. We'll have to see how Deadlock are going to be able to deal with it, as Semblance does get the first kill in this match, as Monkey D. Luffy just gets dropped right off the bat.
That said, this Pharah with the Mercy is quite high up right now, doing a lot of damage. And Bread has been launched off the map. The Mercy is going to be able to stick right back into this fight, but it'd be immediately picked off by Pink Frappe. A couple quick kills have come back the other way. Bucksdog and Taimo and Homos now have actually grabbed a few. And it looks like they will be able to pull out the first fight, despite the Pharah Mercy combo potentially reigning supreme.
Yeah, they're able to get a nice early kill, as Luffy is doing a decent amount of work with the Tracer, but does finally get taken down. Did get a nice couple of kills, but it just wasn't enough. It looked like it was a pretty good start for the side of Deadlock, getting the concussion grenade, or just the boop right off the map, and be taking Bread right out of the equation. But even then, they were still not able to really get the fight in their favor, and now coming in for return push, Bread takes down Panda, and Tommy just taking out Ryan as well, as they do get the resurrection, but that is just leaving the Mercy just high and dry, and that's another kill. And this is just On Point Gamer just running straight through Deadlock.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy looking like the real thing, just right out there, fragging off the back. Is On Point OPGO Purple, managing to look very strong here so far. 3 players on that red hot streak. And we have those ultis built up, one on Taimo, one on Bucksdog, and now Homos is his as well.
Yeah, and also almost the support ultimates coming out for the side of Purple, and they will have them in this next fight. But Breaker's taken out right at the start, doesn't get the Transcendence off, but they do have a lot of tools at their disposal still. MD does get a nice kill onto the Mercy, so the supports are down in this fight for On Point Gaming, but they are just going to keep the fight going. The Missile Barrage does come out, but doesn't really get anything out of it, and because the Divas just fly straight up into her, ends up throwing all the Missile Barrage straight back in her face, and this is just going to be another fight going over to the side of On Point Gaming Purple, and that was even without the use of their supports, really.
Yeah, I mean, Deadlock did a good job getting a few opening picks, but they weren't able to just convert them into anything, really. And because of that, now look at the very forward hold from On Point Gaming. They're trying to not let these players get anywhere near the point as they're coming up on 90%.
Yeah, and we've got a very late switch over to the Xayah for Pink Frappe, as Ryan is going to go down. That's a nice little pick off straight off the bat for the Genji. Does get revived, but they won't be able to bring back that Pharah as she gets taken down by the Zenyatta. We do have Dragon Blades getting taken out, and they're going to start slicing their way through that Deadlock lineup. And they have to stick onto this point. It is into overtime. We do have the Valkyrie going through, but it's just not enough to keep the rest of the team alive, as they are down members and they just don't have enough tools in the bank to really stick themselves on the point, as they are starting to get ground out of this fight.
Yeah, they are getting absolutely punished right now, and it looks like it will be on point. Purple staying on the point, taking the cap, and closing out the first segment of this map. The first stage.
Yeah, it was a little bit back and forth in those first couple of fights, but it was just once On Point Gaming really just set the groundwork and set up the foothold. They were really hard to dismantle, and at that point they were able to build up a lot of those ultimates. And even when they had both supports go down, they had enough tools in the backpack that they were able to just utilize those to maintain control and then just roll that into another fight, and made it very hard for Deadlock to really get any ground. But now we're into the university. We'll just see how this one goes, and if there are going to be any adaptations. We do have MD moving over to the Hanzo. Just wanted to just pump out a lot of those arrows. We don't have the Zarya to try and get that Graviton Dragon Strike combination, so interesting to see how this is actually going to go. Actually, Luffy does end up switching over a rather late switch in that, looking at that.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to delay any form of entrance coming in from Deadlock right now at all. It's allowed On Point to get a lot of positioning, and because of that, they're punishing Panda right now. He's caught in. He should be picked off. He will indeed. And Ryan's in a lot of trouble on the Mercy. That's 2 quick kills just because they were too slow getting to the point. It looks like a few more kills are going to go the way of the Purple Squad, and they should be absolutely closing out, getting the first cap, and cleaning up the rest of these kills. Taimu, again, he switched to the other Asian character, went off the Genji, he's on the Hanzo, and he is making it sing just like he made Genji sing.
Yeah, and they are going to be able to get even closer to that combination of the Dragon Strike and the Graviton. It's going to be on both sides. Have to see which side is going to be able to get it and utilize it first and more efficiently. It looks like On Point Gaming is going to be able to really keep this fight going well, as Homos does get a good pin onto Panda. And without that shield there, they're able to get a great Earth Shatter. And this is going to allow On Point Gaming to just roll through the rest of this Deadlock lineup. And this is just... Ooh, that one's brutal.
A mulching, to say the least, as Buck's Dog picked up a nice little trio there. We'll see how it continues. The Ryan actually got good penetration there. However, Panda has just given his life away. He wasn't able to charge into the character he wanted to. Not able to find the right hero. Instead, gets his life removed from him. The ult is going to come in. That's a Dragon Strike getting straight through. Not going to connect on anything, though.
Yeah, that's just going to end up splitting the uprights. And they are not going to be able to have that once Luffy on the Zarya does end up having that tool to try and pair it up. But that's the combination that we've been wanting to see. And that's a 4-piece coming up for Taimu on that Hanzo. And that is just exactly the combination that we were expecting to see. And
big credit to Buck's Dog for setting that up. It was a perfect placement of that ult. The timing was great. And that allowed such an easy set for Taimu there. MD right now on the fair has actually put in a little bit of work right now and is building up towards that ulti. However, again, look at the fact that Homos is in behind. He's got the Earth Shatter as well. He's going to charge right through. Oh, he gets denied. I thought he was going to pin the Brigida there. Not meant to be. And he falls, as does Taimu. So Deadlock might be able to take their first cap on this point. They need to start finding the rest of these kills. Brigida's in there very deep with the Zarya, looking for a lot of damage, staying miraculously alive so long here, and it actually baits out the Graviton Surge to clean up these players.
Yeah, and even though there were both support ultimates, and also I think there was an additional ultimate on the side of On Point Gaming, they were not able to utilize those, and they are just going to get picked apart in this fight. And even though they are going to be able to continue this overtime, they're starting to get players back. As Ryan, he is playing very aggressive and tries to get the resurrection, but just gets pounded around the head, and it just gives the rest of On Point Gaming enough of a chance to get back to the point, and that is actually just going to be mapped. After what seemed like a really strong push coming up of Deadlock, they just were not able to secure the point quick enough, and the rest of the Blue Star were able to get back and recontest and just clean up the rest of that game.
Yeah, I mean, right, what a great job delaying. There were a couple players getting on the point. First, it was the Brigida and the Zarya. Doing a great job delaying at the end there, not letting them even get that cap. Then the spawns came in. The Mercy did a great job flying around. They had a lot of pressure coming in. And then Taimu, funnily enough, on the Doomfist, managed to get a few huge picks, get a couple kills, and that sealed the deal there. All was said and done. And that was 100-0 on both segments of that map. Very dominant
it
showing
was,
right now.
Yeah, it was very dominant from the side of On Point Gaming Purple, but you have to say that Deadlock, there were moments in both of those rounds where they looked to have an in. In the first round, it was in those first couple of fights where they were able to get some of the supports down, but they just weren't able to clean up the rest of the fight. In that second round, they were able to push or get the fight win, despite the fact that Purple did have a lot of those support ultimates, but they were not able to cleanly finish off the rest of the team, and they just were not able to really secure a foothold for themselves. So in both rounds, there were opportunities for Deadlock to get something started, but Purple were just playing it well enough, even when they were in disadvantageous positions, they were able to really recoup themselves and get themselves back onto the point, and made it very hard for Deadlock to get anything going.
And fortunately, I mean, we do have a nice delay on the stream, so I'm able to actually watch. And when I thought that I saw Panda kind of throw his life away, charging in, with that errant charge and managing to connect on the Reinhardt, he kind of got a little unlucky.
Yeah, there's an arm up coming out.
He was aiming at the Mercy, and the Mercy somehow, instead of being pinned, got
just did the bump away.
Bumped out of the way, and then he connected with the Reinhardt. Because
I'm a horrible Reinhardt because that happens to me every time. I'm just I hate playing Reinhardt because that happens to me 90% of the time, where I'm just I'm gonna pin someone that just get bumped away. So I feel that's just really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just tough because it would have been I wouldn't have looked at it the same way. It would have been a very good, if he managed to get it, fantastic.
At the point,
I kind of justify throwing his life away for it there. Yeah,
and although there was at that point, there was the armor up coming out from the Brigitte, so whether or not that may have been enough to help out, and I'm not sure if there was enough support around. So if the Mercy did get pinned, would it have been enough to fully finish her off? Well, regardless of all that, it did end up going over to the side of On Point Gaming Purple, and now we're on to Kings Row Map 2. And I'll have to see how this one ends up shaping up, because, as I mentioned, there were opportunities for Deadlock to make their way into this, onto the point. I have to see how it goes on a different map type.
Yeah, I mean, new map, new situation. Some teams just happen to be stronger on some of these maps. It's just kind of the natural way it goes. You get your own little map pool, your comfort zones. And we'll see if the change in map will help Deadlock even the scoreline here.
Yeah, we do have. It is going to be On Point Gaming Purple, who is going to be on defense first. So we are going to have Deadlock with the first point, or first attack of this map. And I'm not going to get baited just yet by what they're hovering on the attacking side. It's usually good to wait until the gates are open before we start really locking in some of those compositions. But I would like to see that Sombra actually stick around, because we can see her get a lot of value with some of these health packs in and around the point, and also that EMP can be incredibly impactful to start up some of those team fights.
Well, they are committing to the Sombra, which I do like to see. They've also got the Reaper on Jax, which is a hero that you're not seeing as much of as you used to. So I'm kind of glad that we get to see it pulled out here. And I'm curious to see what kind of an impact these two heroes can have on the offense.
Yeah, it did seem like the Sombra was just selected just to get a little bit of free scouting, just to try and have a bit of a look at what kind of defensive setup was going to be coming out from the side of On Point Gaming Purple. So they are just going to switch back to a little bit more standard with a lot of... Oh, actually, say standard, but there is going to be a Reaper and an Ana. Not too common, but we are going to be getting one kill traded back and forth. The revive does come in for Timu, so he is going to be sticking around to try and get some of those snipes away. But we are having MD actually getting a decent amount of work done with this Widow, but going very far forward and overextends himself. He gets picked off, and that's going to make it very hard for them to push in.
I'm actually okay with that, because if he manages to find a nice entry pick, he opens up so much space for his team. Instead of what happened there, he wasn't able to find it, throws his life away. Sure, it burns a little time off the clock, but he gets to come right back up and potentially try it again. Or in this case, he's actually changed heroes.
Ooh, and now Tommy is actually with the aggressive line himself. He is going to be able to pick up Ryan on the Ana, so that is going to be stunting that push a little bit more. And now the rest of Deadlock, they are just going to keep on trying to push through, but OPGO Gaming are not letting them. PS4 is actually on top of the bus with the Hanzo. He does get cleaned up trying to jump away, so that is going to be a bit unfortunate. Does have the resurrection to help him get back into the fight quick and easy. That was a nice push coming out, or a defensive push out coming out from OPGO Gaming. And Timer is just in a really, really awkward spot to deal with for the side of Deadlock, and they're going to have to try and do something to force him out of there. But they just can't really get out of the base at this point.
Yeah, this is a little bit tough. The comp wasn't quite right, and this is where you'd like to see Jex, I think, swap off the Reaper, potentially. He's had a hard time getting the penetration he needs to have any kind of impact. And he's just been stuffed so well from On Point Gaming Purple. It looks like they are going to be committing with the Reaper for now. We'll see if he can get in closer, get some of those closer range shots, and have a lot of impact. He's actually found himself right into the back of Orion, but the charge away is going to be enough, and I'm not sure what else he can find here on Reaper. As both Panda and MD go down, PS4 has grabbed another kill on the Hinter. Uppercut down as well, and this is a strong defensive hold as Jax has been cleaned up for a complete wipe.
Yeah, just a little bit unaware of where that Reinhardt was coming in from. Panda just not looking in the right direction and ends up getting cleaned up by the Earth Shatter into the charge. And PS4 was just in that back line, just cleaning the rest of the team Deadlock, as we do have the combination coming through, the Dragon Strike through the Graviton Surge, and that is all the members down. And it's going to be very hard for Deadlock to actually get back in time. There is 50 seconds, so they do potentially have one last push. They do have the tools for the Death Blossom, the Beyblade combination of your. It's essentially what they've got left. It's a big blunderbuss shot that they had to try and get themselves onto the point.
Yeah, and I feel like Jex is in a little bit of like sunk cost fallacy that some lower players tend to get caught in. As the Graviton Surge comes in here, they are actually dropping the Hanzo on it, and all they're going to get out of that is the Zarya. But actually, they find Tamu as well. They might actually convert this into something, and they haven't wasted too many ults on it.
Yeah, and it looks like they are actually going to be able to get themselves onto the point. It looks like OPGO Gaming is stepping forward a little bit too far, just playing a little bit over eager to put forward that defense, and it might come back to bite them in the rear, as they are going to start making their way back towards the point. They are going to be forcing away the rest of Deadlock, as the Earthshatter does come out as a great flanking Earthshatter, and they are going to start punching their way through that front line of On Point Gaming, but they're just not on the point. They have to get someone back on there. Ryan is there, but they don't necessarily. They're starting to lose members. It's going to be very hard to hold them to the point. A great sleep onto that Reinhardt, but the rest of the team is just falling down, and that is going to be round one completed. They almost managed to get that first point, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, and as I was kind of saying before that fight started, I feel like Jex got caught in a little bit of a tough spot where he was in kind of like the sunk cost fallacy that I find some players get caught in, where he's been on Reaper so long, he got close to his ult. He probably was on it a little bit too long, but at that point, he got to like 90% on his ult, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to keep coming Reaper just so we get this ult, and hopefully I can use something with it, because I'm not going to charge up an ult. I feel like if he was able to swap off of it, maybe get to something they could have a higher impact with, just because he wasn't getting the penetration needed, he wasn't getting in behind, he wasn't on the flank, like he wasn't doing enough up front as like a fronting force, so he needed to try and get in on a flank or something, and he wasn't even finding gaps to find an entry there. A rough spot for him. We'll see if he can step it up. He looks to be on Junkrat on defense right now.
Yeah,
it's not going to be easy for them.
It was much harder for Jace at getting when you trying to push into a double sniper composition. You had the Widow and the Hanzo, so you're not really going to be able to very efficiently get into their faces and start making the most of that Reaper. And even that front line was not really within reaching distance, so it was very hard for Jax to get much done with that Reaper. And yeah, I gotta agree with you, the kind of stuck around a little bit too long on that hero, when maybe something else trying to would have been a little bit more effective. Try maybe match the Hanzo or the Widow, just try and get some of those extra snipers onto the field to get something, but now they have to go on their defense. The Junkrat can work out quite well in this defense, again, a lot of the displacement and also just choking up a lot of these points can be very tough to deal with. Have to see how this On Point Gaming lineup is going to try and push in. They do have the Bastion coming out. It's one of those interesting strategies that has popped up from time to time over in the Overwatch League. Is going to get lifted up onto the patio. He's just going to start barreling through a lot of those shields, but because he was up in kind of no man's land, does not have the support to help save him from all of those Widow shots. They are going to end up losing that one. They are going to try to come in at all these different angles. It's a very weird push coming out from On Point Gaming, but they're trying to make it work.
Well, now here's the thing. There's an offensive Torbjorn. It's getting that turret set up. It's starting to rain in a lot of damage here. With Bread finding the kill onto the Widow. And there's the Tamu getting the kill with Ben. Oh my lord, the turret gets a 3k! Offensive Torbjorn is going to seal the second map here with a mind-boggling 3k. What on earth was that, Phoenix?
Yeah, sometimes you just forget that the Torbjorn turret can actually do something. It's one of those things where you're just like, oh yeah, it's a Torbjorn. You're not necessarily expecting it to really pump out the damage. And sure, it may not have been doing a lot of the primary damage, but it was very good at just securing a lot of those kills. As the Torbjorn, it can really catch people off guard and surprise some teams. And it looked like Deadlock were just not really prepared for it. They tried to set up a strong defense, but this really weird, a lot of defensive hero composition on offense must have just really caught them off guard.
Oh man. This has been a very good showing for On Point Gaming Purple. And I'm curious to see how it continues here on Anubis. This is actually kind of following the pattern that we saw in our earlier match, Phoenix. I don't want to go quite there. But it was a stonewall for one team in the first two maps. Third map was very, very close on Anubis. I'm curious to see if Deadlock can get in, work past the adversity, and maybe they'll pull out here. Maybe they'll make it close. Maybe they'll at least force the second set of rounds like we saw in our earlier game.
I would very much like to see some kind of strength coming out from this Deadlock lineup. They had some opportunities in that first map on Oasis, but it looked like on King's Road they just were not. They were just getting outclassed and just not really had the game plan in mind, and they just got torn to pieces. And when you're looking at the style of map, the control, yeah, it's kind of just brawling, and whoever can shoot better is more often going to end up getting those victories. King's Row, if you're getting outgunned, you need to look towards the strategies to get some of those victories, and it looked like they just didn't necessarily have that. And when you're looking at the two CP maps, you're really looking for those very solid pushes. Have to see how that ends up working out in this, because we saw, as you mentioned, in our first series of the night, the first two didn't necessarily look all that close, but this one surprisingly ended up being much closer. I don't know how this one's going to go, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a different beast when you hit Temple of Anubis. Could go either way. Maybe I won't quite go that far. I do definitely think that On Point have it. But I think that we'll see a bit better of a fighting chance from Deadlock here. I think they'll be able to put out a little bit more. And really what we'll need to see if they do kind of pull the upset at all, if they manage to keep it alive, is we need to see faster adaptation from them. It was too slow coming. Like I mentioned in that last map with the sunk cost fallacy on the Reaper.
Yeah.
You can't let that happen. You can't kind of grind a hero that's just not working that long because you're having too little impact for too long, that it's kind of denies you from really doing anything as a team at that point. And that was one of the problems that the team had, is that they were just kind of too committed to the poor comp that they had. We'll see. It's one thing that they really need to work on, and I'm curious to see if they'll catch it here. As we are finally live into map 3. Phoenix, look at the forward hold coming in here.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this is going to work out for the side of On Point Gaming. They do get the pin onto the Lucio, so that is a great start. PS4 cleaning up the Pharah in the skies, just sweeping her right out of there. And yeah, this has just gone from 0 to 100 in this map, and it is all in favor of On Point Gaming Purple.
Yeah, and I mean, this Pharah, that's what I mean a little bit on the adaptation. Went to Pharah, I already knew that there was a turret and a Widow, and still decided to just go sky high in front of a Widow's face. Got its head picked off, and if it comes back Pharah, you know that's going to be a problem. And it looks like Jack still wants it.
Yeah, we do have the Winston going up there to try and contest that Widow on the high ground. Does force her away, so a nice little play there coming out for the Winston, but does get cleaned up in the retreat. Max Uppercut copying a headshot, but they do have the resurrection. But now we have everyone just going right in. They just want to play this very forward defense. PS4 picking off that Pharah in the skies yet again, and it's just very hard for Deadlock to get any kind of progress with just how far forward this defense is being held.
Yeah, it is just an absolute stifle tower right now, doing everything they can to crush the spirits of this offense. Tamu is still so far forward with the turret, and his teammates, of course, are going to meet him up there, because why not? Ryan, though, this is a bit of the adaptation that I mentioned. He swapped over to the Junkrat. That could help if he's able to connect. His pipe aim's a little bit low, but he will take out the turret in the end. We'll see, can Ryan continue to have the much-needed impact for his team? Rest of his team is starting to come around. The turret is still there trying to do work, but it'll be taken out very quickly. It should at least know the Molten Core, and PS4 getting a couple Widow shots are making this a bloodbath. Another one for PS4, and it's a mulching courtesy of the Sniper and the Torbjorn.
Yeah, and this is another time where we just have to be a little bit questionable, be questioning the decision making of this Deadlock lineup. It's like you keep on trying to run these same things. Where's that adaptation? You've been trying to get into the skies with this Pharah. They do get a Riptide to clean up Bucksdog, who is very far forward on the Brigitte and also taking out that turret. This is maybe an option for them to get in, but yet again, Jax just gets just plucked out of the skies. A nice Pulstorm does take down the Mercy, and will this be enough to try and get them even anywhere near the point? They do finally get people in the area, and it looks like they are going to start getting themselves some progress on the point.
Oh, there is still Homas trying to do what he can to delay and not even let them get a tick. That's allowed a little bit. Spawns to come in. What can a singular Brigitte do to try and deny this? Doesn't look like much, and point one may actually completely fall. Tamu is still lurking around, but he's launched off the point. And yeah, it looks like, in fact, Deadlock are going to pull out their cap.
Yeah, it started out with a rather nice Riptide cleaning up the Brigitte, just not allowing her to just stump people as soon as they get anywhere near the point. But PS4 is just being an absolute menace on this Widow, cleaning up the Pharah so very frequently, and also getting a nice little pick there onto the Tracer, just stalling out this push for just a little bit longer. PS4 is going to have the Mercy at their back to keep on just powering through. A double kill coming out from this Widow, just doing so much work, and he's just completely uninhibited, just has so much freedom in this map that she's allowed to just clean up all of these squishy members and even the tanks from time to time of this Deadlock lineup.
And Jax has gone back to that Reaper to try and deal with the Widow. The only problem is I'm not sure how well he's going to be able to get up there and do much about it. It's kind of a rough spot for him to be in, as this Widow is literally spawn camping them, doing a lot of damage early. PS4, though, will start to be pressured by the Winston. Uppercuts are there, doing some damage. Here comes the rest of the pressure. They might actually find the kill. No, good job of PS4 getting out. Earthshatter coming in from Homas, but oh, this could be a big one. Oh, but it's shielded so well. All it does is take out the turret. And this is looking like such a strong defense for On Point Gaming Purple.
Yeah, this is just really rough. A little bit rough to watch as Deadlock are just getting cleaned up time after time. Just got some very bold and aggressive defense coming out from On Point Gaming, and they're allowed to do it because PS4 is giving them just so much space to work with. That he's drawing so much attention from his Deadlock lineup that they can't really deal with all of this, all that what On Point Gaming is trying to throw at them, and is very successfully landing. We do have the Reaper trying to come in from the lower, or through some of the tunnels, but it's just not really working out at this point, as we do have the defensive ult popped as the Transcendence is going to get used. The Triad does get taken out by PS4. He's pretty much doing everything for the team.
Yeah, this is an absolute hero, no kind of pun intended, performance from him. He's absolutely putting in the work that's allowing his team to defend so well. Temo as well, like on the Torbjorn, it seems like kind of a troll, but it's actually doing a lot of work. And Bread Zenyatta has done a ton of damage as well. This has been a very strong team performance across the board, but definitely kind of fronted by PS4.
Yeah, and he's able to stick around in the back lines, just right on the spawn of Deadlock Gaming. They're trying to just deal with him in any way, just force him into an awkward position, but the awkward position is still something that this Widow can utilize, as Bread does pick off the head of the Junkrat as he's trying to retreat. So this is
look at PS4's
really
position.
He's back towards the first point, the first arch, and he's wanting to just keep on sniping. He's drawing them completely away from the point, and this is essentially all she needs to do. This is just insane.
Talk about hero plays, miracle plays, and now the Molten Core with the Earth Shatters coming in. They managed to pick off the Winston. That's definitely a nice first pick. It will be rezzed back quickly, but down goes Diva. PS4 has also picked off the Mercy from behind, and Tamo is right there with them. There's 3 players in behind. They are going to blitz onto the point with what is left to try and get it, but instead of taking a split offensive, they are getting mulched down, crushed, and annihilated, and with 50 seconds left, I almost feel comfortable saying that 1 point is all they'll be able to find.
Yeah. I'm pretty safe to call it at this point. It's very hard to see how Deadlock will be able to make their way onto the point, with not just PS4 just cleaning up any head that goes into his sights, but also Bread on the Zenyatta has been doing so much work, just picking off members here, there, and everywhere. This is just really rough, a little bit too rough to watch. They do have another attempt at making their way onto the point. And looking at the ultimate economy, it is rather even, but whether or not they're going to be able to leverage that into anything meaningful remains to be seen. Jax is above the point. They are getting members in there to see if they can actually get it to work, as the Nurse Shadow does go down. And nice, Death Blossom does go off, but they're not able to get anything out of it, as the rest of the team is just demolished in the backline.
PS4 just had a 3K on that defense. And that's just a testament. Every single fight, he seems to get like 3, 4, once even 5 kills. And that just denies it. There's nothing you can do when you're getting shredded that hard.
That was rough to watch. That was brutal. Just how efficient and just devastating PS4 on that Widow was. And I'm interested to see if they try and bring out the Widow for this offense, because that's one thing you can do with the Widow. Once you start pushing through that arch, if the Widow does set up there, then you had this giant line of sight onto the point.
Wait a second. Poor PS4. Buckstock stolen the Widow.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how this one goes. I mean, we'll have to see what else PS4 has in his bag of tricks. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a whole bunch in there. I mean, the Widow was incredible and just dominant. We'll have to see how his PS4, how his Tracer ends up going, and if Buckstock can really kind of live up to that team strength.
Yeah, and well, I was gonna be a big glib here, and give you kind of like the world's easiest prediction in this first fight. I was gonna say, my prediction was gonna be that PS4 gets 3K as they cap the first point on Widow.
Probably a safe.
Now, it's
probably a
still
safe prediction.
Potential that he could do it, but I was gonna say on Widow. It's sad.
Yeah. On the Tracer, it is also fun to see a Tracer just like shredding through a backline, just one clipping people, and I'll be interested to see if PS4 can actually get that to work out, and that would be another fun way to get a 3-piece.
Well, it looks to be a fairly standardized defense They have maxed uppercut on the Orisa. Of course, Monkey Duffy's going to be picking up the Widow. Checks on that Junkrat. So you're going to be your big heavy hitters here. But it's the Tracer on PS4 just going right in behind right off the bat. Early pressure, trying to split the focus of this team, and that might open a lot of ways for the offense to come right back in here. Bucksdog up on that Widow, not hitting quite as many shots quickly, and he's going to be taken up by Monkey Duffy. So it didn't quite work out the way he intended. Taimo is still on the offensive, Torbjorn. He believes, man. He believes.
Yeah, and this is a rather kind of a bit arrogant kind of composition coming out for On Point Gaming. They've only got this Zaya as that tank, and they're kind of getting punished a little bit. They are dropping members here and there. They did have the resurrection, but it's just not nearly enough to keep him around, as PS4 is finally going to get cleaned up. Hinterland on the Zenyatta is going to deal with that, and now Hamas is going to be switching back over to that Reinhardt. They've realized maybe we need to just clean this up. Let's cut out some of the shenanigans and just finish this one off with confidence.
Well, the Ryan on Hamas is back on the point. There's also Bread coming in, and Bucks does finally hit that kill, picking it off, and now all the defense has started to crumble. It looks like it will be a cap. Monkey Duffy is still going to hit a headshot. Or a body shot, I should say, on the Bucksdog to get that kill. And now Hinterland's coming with a kill of his own on another player. Will this continue to go this way? Monkey Duffy's doing some work on this Widow. But I think this point will fall. All they need is one tick on the next point to close out map 3.
Yeah, even though Monkey Duffy on the Widow was doing a decent amount of work, had a lot of freedom in the in those upper areas, but there was no one on the point. It just meant that the rest of On Point Gaming was able to just like sit on the point, just completely ignore that Widow and just pick up the point. PS4 does pick up the Widow, so nice little pulse bomb there to give them a little bit of space as they are going to start making their way towards the point. Timing on the Torbjorn still. He does have his Molten Core, so he can just start just getting in there and really start firing away like a madman. They are going to have to be a little bit more patient with this push. They do have a whole bunch of ultimates at their back to try and work with. PS4 is going to be trying to drag the members of Deadlock around. So far it's not working out too well, but there's a lot of tools in the belt for On Point Gaming that they can work with, and it's just a matter of utilizing them. And all they need is 1 point, or one tick on this point.
It's just a tick away. It's just a tick away. Give me shelter here. What can they do? Can they pull it out? They're going to be dropping in the Graviton Surge. Have a Molten Core coming out on defense right now. A lot of ults being used on this defense. In fact, all of them except for the Resurrection, but it doesn't seem to matter. The kills are still going in. Taimu with the 3K. Make that a 4. And that will be all that she wrote on this one, unless Ryan can go miraculous.
Ooh.
Picked off by Bucksdog, and that closes it out.
Yeah, just really unfortunate that Ryan on the Mercy was pretty much one of the first ones to go in that fight. Just had that Valkyrie on deck, but just was not able to utilize that. And yeah, as you mentioned, the Resurrection not coming in, just having the Widow out of the fight right at the start really made it rough for them. As we do have like game PS4 doing so much work on the Widow. Just that was just a clinic from PS4.
Yeah, I mean, when you run it, like we just saw what something decently solid running into an unstoppable force. Like, it could not be stopped. They couldn't even manage to slow it down terribly much. It was just kind of the PS4 show. They should change his name to PS4K because that seems to be what he was getting in every engagement. Yeah. Really, really big play. Like, what can you do?
Yeah, just a bit of a mismatch of skill. This is the first week of this event, so there are going to be some of those weighted matchups, but as the Swiss bracket does go through, it is going to slowly even itself out, and maybe On Point Gaming Purple would not be able to get away with some of those very, very cheeky strategies, some of those cheeky compositions that they were throwing together.
Yeah, and I mean, like you mentioned, it's early. This is a Swiss system. So despite Deadlock being kind of outclassed quite heavily here in week 1, week 2 might be closer. Week 3 should definitely be closer. Like as it goes on, they'll get better and better matches across the board. So there's a lot that they can kind of be happy about. There aren't really any takeaways they can have from this game, unfortunately. Just there's not a lot you can learn when you get manhandled for a good portion. It's just, I mean, a lot of stuff. It came down to straight DM. They were losing DM fights. They were losing, like, sure, some of their class comps weren't amazing, but they were doing what they could to try and break out of kind of the deficit they had. But you know, they'll at least be able to like, potentially have more positives as it comes later and later into the season. And some of their games should be much closer, potentially even a deadlock.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how some of these teams go as this event ends up going forward, because we've had 2 series tonight, and it weren't necessarily all that close. This one, arguably, much more one-sided. On Point Gaming really, it looks like a solid team. They will have to kind of take it a little bit more seriously, because I think some of these compositions showed that they were not going all out. But yeah, once we start seeing them match up against some of the better teams, I have to see how they kind of shore things up. But I'm excited to see how it goes moving forward. In Deadlock, there's quite a few rounds left of this Swiss bracket. There's a lot of time to work on some of their play, some of their coordination as a team. I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, and I think that's all I really have left to say on this one. I don't know about you, Phoenix.
Yeah, another cut and dry one, it seems.
So for all of us here at the Amateur Oceanic Esports for the Australian Overwatch League, I have been at Dreamboat Casts. You can give me a follow on Twitter. I would absolutely appreciate that. Go follow Phoenix on Twitter as well if you've enjoyed him. That's at GLPhoenix_. And our producer has his mic muted, so I can't ask what his is. But that has been the fantastic Bouncy Bear on production. The man, the myth, the legend. So have a great evening, everybody. Stay tuned down the tube. There will, of course, be many more games. We are early in the season here. But for all of us here for the Australian Overwatch League, I've been Dreamboat, joined by Phoenix. Have a great evening, everyone. Drive safe.